Hello everyone, I'm TG and I'm here to talk to you about the amazing online experience that is Evil Dead the game. Today I want to tell you guys about my favorite way to play the Warlord. And before you ask, no, it is not basic unit possession. Forget that meta. I don't like to play by the meta. I like to kind of, go outside the box and test different builds. If you know anything about the channel, you know I've been doing that since Resistance, and that's what we're doing here. So the name of the game today is Thick and Chonky Deadites. That way all your units are nice and juicy. And that way, you're not worrying about basic unit possession, but you can actually kind of play more Necromancer-like. You can overwhelm the survivors with everything that you got. So let's dive right in. So to start things off with is one of those points that we don't really need, but we just need it to get further into the tree. 1 point in Hemophobia. It's going to make it so the Elite's Blood Splatter increases the fear level of survivors by 1. Not that big a deal, but we do need that to unlock the tree. Moving on, I'm going to put 3 points into Speeding Train. So this increases the impact radius of the Deadite Elite's Deadite Smash ability by 35%. And I kind of like this one. Usually a Warlord, you don't see them using too many Elites, but this build, they are thick enough that you can actually use them. Though they're expensive, you might actually get some use out of this. Next is a single point in Coagulation, and although this is good, it increases the obscured vision from the Elite's Blood Splatter by 10%. You're not going to use them enough that you're not going to need the 2 extra points to make that 35%. 10% is really all you need, and that is plenty. Now we're getting to the good stuff. 3 points into Lingering Gas. This is going to increase the duration of Henrietta's gas leak ability by 35%. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, you probably do, but gas leak is one of the best boss abilities in the entire game. The only thing better would probably be Elagos's Lightning Shock. And the reason for that is not the damage it does do a little bit of damage, but also that it stops survivors' weapon animations. So they can't finish their attacks whenever they're covered in this gas. It gives you great coverage whenever you're taking down the book, focusing a single survivor, etc. Now this next 3 points is going to show you why we're using Elites. Because Rocksteady Elite will increase Elite's resistance to balance and bar damage by 60%. 60%, that's huge. That means these Elites are going to have more balance bar than pretty much every other unit in the game. And whenever you combine that with Henrietta's level 45 skill, well, they're not breaking the balance bar. And for the last 3 points in this row, we're going for Potent Gas, which increases the gas leak ability's damage by 35%. So that's enough to bump it up from just a minor annoyance to something that the survivors actually have to worry about. Now, next is 1 point that is very, very important. Too grossed out to run means whenever survivors are hit by your basics puke ability, they're not going to be able to sprint for 5 seconds. Great way to lock down any survivor, especially a hunter. Frankly, this move is like too annoying, but you'd be crazy not to invest the 1 point in it. And moving on, I have 3 points in Projectile Vomit, which increases the range of that puke by 35%, making the attack all the more annoying. And next is one I'm probably going to get a little bit of flack for, but I put a full 3 points into Granny Hug. What this does is whenever Henrietta grabs an opponent, it's going to take 25% more damage for her to be knocked out of that. Now, you can go ahead and only put 1 point into that and then use those 2 extra points for some of the blood splatter abilities up top for your elites. Totally viable. In fact, probably smarter. But me, personally, I like having that on the grab because I use her grab quite often. Even though it doesn't do a lot of damage, it's great for locking down, say, a hunter or a support. So they can't do damage to you or they can't heal. And I found that it's actually very useful just for my own personal playstyle. The next 6 points, however, are non-negotiable. You're going to want them. 3 in Rocksteady Basic is going to increase the balance bar length of basic units by 35%, and 3 in Health Razor Boss is going to increase the maximum health of Henrietta by 35% as well. Moving on to another very, very important single point, Too Grossed Out to Dodge is going to make it so the basic Deadite's puke ability is going to stop survivors from dodging for 5 seconds. I don't have to tell you how major that is. It's a huge part of the meta already. Next is 3 points in Acid Reflux. This is going to increase the damage of Deadite puke by 20%. Not a huge jump, but since you'll be using puke pretty much every single time it's off cooldown, you're going to want that extra 20. Then continuing the theme of Thick and Chunky, we're using Rocksteady Boss. 3 points is going to make it so Henrietta is 35% more resistant to balance bar damage, and 3 points into Health Razor Basic, which is going to increase your basic Deadite's health by 35% as well. So now we're going to get to the fun ones. The last 2 tiers, and Henrietta's are kind of interesting. First, there's 2 points into Pain Parasite. This is going to make it so all the evil units heal whenever they attack an enemy. So your basics or your elites will heal for 10% every time they strike an enemy. Now that can add up quite quickly. It may not seem like a lot, but think about how long you can possess some of these units because their balance bars are so big. And there you go. So finally, the last 6 points, not as flashy, but very important. 3 into heavy damage basic, which increases basic units damage by 35%. And of course, 3 into heavy damage boss, which increases Henrietta's already huge damage by 20%. So you can see how things are kind of taking shape now. It's not your run-of-the-mill Warlord build. It's not the basic unit possession. It's kind of more well-rounded, and it kind of enhances everything at your arsenal as opposed to just basic units. So, you know, if you're still super sweaty, go ahead, keep doing what you're doing. Don't do this, but this is one of my favorite ways to play the Warlord. Now let's take a look at Henrietta's abilities. So our active skill is Bad Influence, and this one, it's worded strange, and it's really convoluted, but basically what it means is you use this when you're in spirit form, and you can only use it in spirit form. It creates an aura that'll increase the damage, the health, and the attack frequency of all the units around you. So you use it in spirit form, but whenever you jump into something and possess it, the ability does continue. So you use it, then possess, then the unit that you inhabit is also rocking the aura as well as everything else around it. And her next 3 skills are just upgrades to that. Really Bad Influence 1 will increase the damage by another 35%, the health by another 35%, and the attack frequency by another 20%, as well as increasing the range. And then Really Bad Influence 2 will give you the same bonuses across the board, but this time 10% damage, 10% health, 10% attack frequency, and finally Really Bad Influence 3 is the good one because it again increases damage, health, and attack frequency by another 10%, increases the range, and has the added benefit of causing your units to not take any balance bar damage for the duration. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's the build. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helps you out just a little bit. And hey, if you want to stick with the basic unit possession, all the more power to you. Play how you want to play how you enjoy, go ahead. But if you want to try something new, give this one a look, and let me know down below what you think of the build, as well as tell me what builds you want to see in the future, because there's all kinds of good ones coming. And of course, guys, as always, I'm TG. If you like what you saw, you know what to do.